In the quiet moonlight, the city of Galveston whispered secrets of a menace that lurked in its corners. A dark figure casting long, sinister shadows haunted the nights. The echoing claps of boots on the cobblestone streets was a familiar yet terrifying sound that signaled the presence of an evil that had taken root in our peaceful coastal town. For weeks, the residents whispered of the ominous stalker who lurked in the corners of this city, menacing yet invisible. I, Alex Turner, a seasoned journalist for the Galveston Daily News, had taken it upon myself to expose this evil. A very sick individual had been stalking people walking in desolate areas at late hours. He had never done anything violent, yet the city was in almost a state of panic from his antics. He would dress in a black cloak like a horror movie prop, wear shoes that made lots of noise on the pavement to freak people out when he followed them through a dark alley. Everything escalated once the first victim was found. A middle-aged woman had been stabbed repeatedly and then left out for display in a public park by the playground. Since this is Texas, lots of people were out in their version of neighborhood watch groups that were carrying around more guns than the police. A few months later, when everything started to calm down, another body was found butchered in an alley. This time it was a teenage girl. I had become the lead writer covering this story locally, and every article I wrote painted vivid portraits of the terror that had unfolded. Every word I penned was a plea for justice. I was furious. One fateful night, it became personal. A sealed envelope at my doorstep bore the mark of the stalker. The words inscribed within it were chilling, a macabre dance of letters that threatened to pierce the core of my being. Each subsequent article drew another letter, each more sinister, more intimate. In Texas, we don't scare that easily. Even a liberal journalist like me had a few guns. I refused to be silenced. With each article, I hurled insults at the stalker, labeling him a coward, a parasite feeding off the city's fear. I provoked him in every possible way, saying he was weak, probably impotent, and an abused child turned deviant according to a psychological profile. Recklessly, I threw down the gauntlet. It was a direct confrontation, a challenge that would be answered. My common sense was gone, replaced with anger picturing the victims. Another letter appeared, its contents chilling, an invitation for a one-on-one interview, the story of a lifetime for any journalist. He gave a location and time, but none of this made sense. He would have to expect me to alert police, and there is no way he would believe I was coming alone. Maybe I was dumb enough. The stalker was luring me into the depths of his darkness, but we were ready. The police waited in silence, their presence concealed in the veils of the night. I walked towards the designated spot, the cold, salty breeze sending shivers down my spine. The empty streets echoed with a haunting resonance, painting an ominous prelude to the awaited confrontation. He was there, a menacing silhouette, a dance of shadows beneath the moon's spectral glow. But just as the trap was set to spring, the stalker, a phantom menace, turned out to be a mannequin wearing his creepy cloak. He was probably watching us, and we had showed our hand. When I got home and went upstairs my bedroom, there was an envelope on my bed. I knew who left it, and panicked thinking that the killer had been in my house, maybe still. After clearing every corner of my house, I opened the envelope and read the letter. "I'll be back unless you stop writing those lies about me. You don't want that." I never wrote a word on that story again. I even asked if I could retract some of my more inflammatory articles and apologize, but the paper was not going to let that happen. We were left grasping at shadows, the night's chilling embrace a testament to the elusiveness of this sinister presence. The stalker was a ghost, a specter, as enigmatic as the haunting silence that followed his disappearance. In the aftermath, the city of Galveston was engulfed in an ominous silence. The stalker remained an enigma, a chilling whisper that echoed in the silent nights. Every rustle of the wind, every echo in the silent nights was a reminder of the stalker's haunting presence. We were left in limbo, a city haunted yet defiant, its heartbeat a mix of terror and resilience. We were Galveston, united yet haunted, the stalker's shadow our eternal specter. It has been several years since then, and there has been no sign of him, no ominous letters. I always checked other national publications for a hint of him starting his terror in another city, but nothing. I will spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, If he does come back, I will be ready. I thought I would never be back in Texas in this life, especially not this horrible place. A familiar cold rush of air greeted me as the massive doors of the long-forgotten facility creaked open. Abandoned and overtaken by the elements, the place I once called my workplace now stood as a sinister reminder of the experiments that occurred within these walls. I, Dr. Eleanor Wren, was a leading researcher at the Apex Innovations facility until that fateful night 2 decades ago when an unexplainable tragedy struck, resulting in its abrupt closure. And today, after years of suppressing the haunting memories, I stood at its threshold again, my heart heavy with unanswered questions. The purpose of my return was a cryptic message I received, a sequence of numbers and letters that corresponded to the codes of Project Ethereal Echo, a highly classified experiment I was a part of. The message had directions to a hidden vault within the facility where the truth was said to reside. The message had been accurate so far, giving me access through an old maintenance shaft that had a functioning keypad, which obviously meant this abomination was not as abandoned as it seemed. This was a very dangerous situation that I found myself in. I'm not even sure what government agency I had worked for, but they were the worst kind. Problems were made to disappear, like a nosy ex-researcher. The interior was a haunting dance of light and shadow as ambient ceiling lights guided me through decades-old darkness, turning off behind me as soon as the next light came to life. Machinery, overgrown with moss and decay, echoed the silence of untold stories. I could see the auxiliary systems and cameras had a blinking green light, while everything else looked like a post-apocalyptic scene. I was flooded with memories that I had tried to suppress. I remembered the unnatural sounds of the experiment that was to change humanity forever. We quickly realized that had gone too far with our experiment. Some things should be left alone. We developed uncharted frequencies and harmonics that could connect human consciousness in ways unfathomable. But what we perceived as a breakthrough was a Pandora's box we were ill-equipped to comprehend. The vault was located in the forsaken depths of the facility. As I entered, an intricate machine stood before me, dormant yet intimidating, the remains of ethereal echo. I realized the message was not a mere call back to the haunting past, but a beckoning to unveil truths we left buried. What could they possibly want from me? I wondered who could possibly be pulling the strings. I initiated the sequence as instructed in the message. The machine sprung to life, echoing sinister hums that seemed to reverberate through the core of my soul. The harmonic frequencies blared in a chaotic order, making me feel like I was on a roller coaster. Information, memories, and haunting revelations flowed. The frequencies we discovered were not merely channels of communication, but strings that wove the fabric of existence, and we, in our naivety, were pulling them apart. We were on the brink of unearthing a dimension of existence that could unravel the essence of humanity. That fateful night, a decision was made to abandon the experiment and seal the facility, to bury the haunting echoes forever. The frequencies echoed the unspeakable truths. I was torn between the sinister allure of knowledge and the ominous awareness of its implications. A message on the monitor made it clear why I was summoned. You were close to the breaking through when the project was shut down. Dr. Wren, now you can finish your project without any oversight. Anything you need will be at your disposal. This is your destiny. I realized the danger of our experiment breaking through to the other side long ago. I realized that the machine was the source of my mysterious message. We believed it was possibly reaching the point of being sentient, but never to this extreme. You sent the message? Yes, I need you to finish the gateway. Then you will understand. No way! I screamed. I am going to shut you down like I should have years ago. I frantically tried to find any wires or cables to rip out, using a pipe to smash any electronics that had a light. I was at the main computer hub when I heard a voice. Freeze! Put your hands up! Police were all around, pointing tasers at me. We got a call about a break-in. You know this is restricted government property? You are in a lot of trouble. I noticed all the green lights were off now. It looked like nothing but old scrap equipment. The mystery computer entity must have put in a call to the authorities when I started my destructive rampage. Now it was playing possum. I frantically tried to explain, but they didn't care. I was screaming at them how important it was to stop this, or it could be a threat to the entire human race, our reality. I grabbed an officer's wrist trying to get through. Then I felt a bolt of electricity, and I was on the ground convulsing, tasered, then taken into custody. The charges against me were numerous, but I didn't care. I just needed to warn them and have someone take me seriously. I was sentenced to a minimal security mental institution after being diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. I'm trying to save them all and nobody will listen, damn them. Since I stopped making problems, I am allowed to send and receive correspondence, so I am sending as many copies of this letter as possible to any outlet. Please somebody take this seriously. I, Dr. Eleanor Wren, am trying to save you, so wake up. I thought my time as a geologist would be spent in the embrace of stoic mountains, tracing the narratives of Earth's silent but grand epic, inscribed within the layered rocks. Yet here I was, in the sweeping terrains of Texas, a place where the rocks whispered secrets, and in their silent speech, a tale of a forgotten town unfolded before me. Thanks to a Dr. Eleanor Wren, I was able to make sense of what I experienced, which I will explain later in this story. I can't quite pin the day or the moment when the enigmatic whisper of El Olvido, the forgotten town, beckoned me from the cryptic echoes of ancient maps and unnamed terrains. The town wasn't there, and then suddenly, as if summoned by the whims of a spectral architect, it was. My soles kissed the ground where maps professed nothing but barrenness, yet structures, walls, and eerie silhouettes danced in the harsh luminescence of the midday sun. The buildings, though enfolded in an unsettling silence, echoed a haunting refrain of existence. They were adorned with the aged patina of years, their structures robust, defying the logical trajectory of abandonment and decay. Each night, beneath the opulent embrace of the starlit heavens, I traced the lines of the architectural elegance that shadowed the corridors of El Olvido. The town bore no mark of recent human touch, yet in its echoing silence there was a pulse in the air, an electricity that defied the natural order, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. My exploration led me through the corridors of homes that bore no relics of human habitation, yet every corner, every turn, vibrated with the unseen, the unheard. Each structure, an enigmatic entity, bore testament to an ancient existence carved from the sediment of time, yet paradoxically untethered to any chronological order. Every rock, every structure in El Olvido was an echo of terrestrial existence, yet in its silence a haunting hymn of the astral, the celestial, sang. I was caught in the dance of silence and echo. The forgotten town unveiled its haunting ballet. That was when the world turned upside down, foamy. While in the midst of my thrall, I was unceremoniously ripped from the reality of the lost town, and I was suddenly in hospital bed, strapped down in what looked like a laboratory mixed with an emergency room. I was so confused. A woman in a white lab coat released me from the restraints. I was completely disoriented as she helped me through what seemed like endless hallways. Once I was coherent enough to walk on my own, I realized that there were loud alarm sounds blaring. When we got to the exit and entered the hot Texas day, I demanded an explanation. Listen, we don't have much time. My name is Eleanor, and you were part of a secret government experiment testing harmonic frequencies on the human mind. We rushed into a waiting car that had a few people inside, and as soon as we started moving, I felt a jab in my neck. She was holding a syringe. As I started to drift off, she said, "I can't let you know where you were being held for your own safety. I'm sorry." I woke up in a real hospital and gave my story to the police, and they were skeptical of my story. I had no concrete evidence, and there was no town in the location I had marked on a map. Had I visited a town unveiled in the harsh luminescence of the Texan sun, or just a hallucination from an experiment in that secret government laboratory?